make sure that you are doing at least 4 for every day. This is due at the end of the week. Make sure you're showing all your work. The past warm-ups, I haven't asked for that. Some of you are just writing in your answers. Please show all the work, and if you don't have room in the front, so make sure that you are doing this every day during class, not at home, because if I start seeing that you're doing it at home, I will take it up and give you 0 for it. So make sure you're working on this in class. So go ahead and get that done, and then come back to the video. So what we're doing today, we are going to take a few notes on comparing and ordering rational numbers. You've been working on this for the past week, and all you had to do was making sure that you understood how to order fractions and how to order decimals. And right now, you are going to take the notes and make sure that you are understanding it, because if you're not, you need to come see me so I could help you out with that. So let's go ahead and get this paper ready. Remember, when you're done with this, you are going to glue it in your composition book. So comparing and ordering rational number notes. You can use a number line, a model, fraction, benchmark, sorry about that, closer to 0, closer to 1, less than half, more than half, or convert all numbers to the same form. And decimals is the easiest form. So to compare and order rational numbers. So basically, if you have fractions and decimals, and sometimes percent, they'll give you sometimes percent. If you turn them all into decimals, it's easier to compare than turning them all to fractions or turning them all to percent. Actually, if you turn them to percent, it's possible, but if you have whole numbers, it kind of gets confusing. So make sure that you are working on that, and make sure you're writing this down. Okay, so here we have examples. You're going to be receiving examples, so you could be able to take notes and use them in your test. Your test will be tomorrow. Now, we're going to ignore this negative here because we don't need that negative right now. We're going to talk about negatives later on, so we're going to just ignore that. So let's go ahead and look at this. It says, use any method to order the following numbers. A number line has been provided. So basically, the number line is provided if you know how to use it. We could use it anyway, so here's the first one. So you have 3 1/3. So basically, I'm going to go ahead and do top in, bottom out, which is 1 divided by 3. And we add your decimals and your zeros. So 3 into 1 is 0 times. 3 into 10 is 3 times. Remainder is 1. Bring the 0 down. 3 into 10 is 3 times. Remainder is 1. So if you notice, this is going to be a repeating number. So we're going to go ahead and put that as 3 and 3, 3, 3 for the first one. The other one is 3.3. Then you have 3 3/4. So 3 3/4 again, top in, bottom out. Add your decimals and your zeros. So 4 into 3 is 0 times. 4 into 30 is 7 times, which is 28. Remainder is 2. Bring the 0 down. 4 into 20 is 5 times, which is 20. Remainder is 0. And if you see this next 0, you don't even have to use it. Sometimes we put extra zeros if we need them, but in this case we don't need them. So then this number is going to be 3 and 75/100ths, which is this one right there. This is right there. So then the next one is 3 and 5/10ths. So now that we have them all in decimal form, all I have to do is line them up and fill them in. So we have 3, 3, 3, 3 for the first one. Then we have 3 and 3/10ths. Then we have 3 and 75/100ths. And then the last one is 3 and 5/10ths. So remember, when we're comparing fractions, when we're comparing decimals, we usually put in the zeros to make sure that all of them have the same number of place values. And it makes it easier. Since they're all 3, then we need to go to the next one. So it's saying to go from greatest to least. So greatest number, I'm going to see, it's going to be 750, which was the 3 3/4. So I'm going to write 3 3/4 as my answer. So we got that one. Then we have the next one is 5 500. So it's going to be 3 5/10. The next one is 3 3/3. So 333. So that's going to be 3. Oops. It's going to be 3 1/3. And the last one is going to be 3 3/10. Now we're going to put them in the number line. Then we would actually go ahead and put it on the number line, and the first one would be 3 3/10. Then it'll be 3 1/3. Then it's going to be 3 5/10, and then it's 3 3/4. So the number line is there if I need it, and I would have 3 here, and I would have 4 over here. So just in case, I'm sorry I didn't leave enough room for you to write it down, but at least you have greatest to least. So go ahead and finish that, and then come back to the video. Okay, so here it's example 2. It says use the inequality symbols to compare the following numbers. So this would be less than, and this is greater than. And some of us get confused, so make sure that you know. So let's go ahead and compare 2/3 and 5/10. So I'm going to go ahead and convert the 2/3 into a decimal. Okay, so in this case we have 3 into 2, 0 times. Remainders 2, bring the 0 down. 3 into 20 is 6 times, so that's 18. Remainders 2. Again, 3 into 20 is 6 times, and if you notice, it's going to be repeating. So I'm going to go ahead and put this as 0.66 compared to 0.5. So in this case, this is going to be greater than, because 6 is greater than 5. Okay, so let's go to the next one. We have 5/8, 3/10, and 5/8. So I'm going to go ahead and put 5 divided by 8, add a decimal and zeros. So you have 8 into 5 is 0 times. 8 into 50 is 6 times, which is 48. Remainders 2. Bring the 0 down. 8 into 20 is 2 times, which is 16. Remainder is 4. Bring the 0 down. 8 into 40 is 5 times, which is 40. Remainder is 0. So here you have 3. So we're going to compare 3 and 6. So 3 is less than 6, so we're going to say 3/10 is less than 5/8. And the last one, we're going to go ahead and divide. So it's 6/10 compared to 1/8. So I'm going to divide 1 by 8. Add my decimals and 0. So then I'm going to go ahead. 8 into 1 is 0 times. 8 into 10 is 1 time, which is 8. Remainder is 2. Bring the 0 down. 8 into 20 is 2. which is 16, remainder 4, lay the 0 down, and 8 into 40 is 5 times. So that's 40, remainder is 0. So I'm going to go ahead and compare. So in this case, we're comparing, again, the 6 and the 1. So here, 6/10 is less, it's greater than, actually, than 1/25. So if you notice, as soon as you turn them into decimals, you could easily compare the tenths place, and and all you have to do is look at that. If they're the same in the tenth place, then you look at the hundredths place, and again, if it's the same in the hundredths place, you look in the thousands place. So basically, you just need to convert them into decimals, and then you should have your answer. So please, if you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, so the last example is one that has several things. So you have fractions and decimals and fractions. So make sure that you have that. Now, one thing that I noticed right away is this fraction, because it's an improper fraction. So I know that there's going to be whole numbers in there. The other ones is tenths place and hundredths place. So I'm going to go ahead and just rewrite. So we have 50 tenths. So I know that I need to divide 50 by 10, top in, bottom out. And then if you notice, that's going to be a whole number. So, because there's no, even if I add the decimals, I don't need that. It's still a whole number. So I know this is going to be 5. And then we're going to have the hundredths, then the thousands, the tenths, and then 500ths. Remember, because it's already written with power of 10, then I could write it as 500ths. Remember, we have the place value for 5. So now all I have to do is compare them. So it doesn't tell me what order, so we usually, if it doesn't really tell us, we go least to greatest. So I'm going to go ahead and write the 5. And remember, the decimals at the end, so we add the 0 just to line them up. Then we have the 005, so which is 5 thousandths. Then we have the 5 tenths, and then we have the 500ths. Oops, too many zeros. Okay, so now all I have to do is look to see which one's the least amount. So let's look at the ones we have. So they have zeros. So in this case, the least amount is one of the zeros, but I'm going to go ahead and add those zeros to make sure that I have the same amount of place values. So zeros, so there's 3 of them. There's 0, 0, 0, so there's still, this one still has them. So then 0, 0, 0. So in this case, I know it's not this one, so that's not first. This is not first. So this one's first, and this one has a whole number, so it can be first. So least to greatest, we have 0 and 5 thousandths. So we have that. Then it becomes 2, 0 and 5 hundredths. So that's it. Then we have 0 and 5 tenths, and then the last one is 5. So just because it has the same number, be careful, because those are the type of problems that they're going to try to trick you on. So make sure you look at that carefully, make sure that you are lining up the decimals to look at the place values, and make sure that you're looking at every place value and making sure that it's correct. So now that we've done all the notes and we've done the examples, I want you to figure out how you can use fraction benchmarks. Remember, you're looking at fractions, you're trying to determine if it's closer to 0. So pretend you're in the number line. So you're going to be closer to 0, closer to 1, or be less than half or more than half. So you're trying to place your fractions, so basically you're trying to see where you're going to look at it. So when you look, say for instance, we're looking at 5/8. So 5/8, is it closer to 0 or to 1? Well, we're not sure, so I know it's closer to half, but is it more than half or is it less than half? So that's the type of things that you need to ask yourself when you're looking at them. So make sure that you are writing down how you want to solve. So finish that up, and then we'll go ahead and tell you what you need to do. So here is your assignment for today. You do have 6 word problems. They are fractions and decimals. You do need to make sure you're converting all your fractions into decimals so you'll be able to compare them. Remember, you need to line them up and fill them in so you could have all the same place values, and it's easier to compare. Now, you may use your partners to help you with this. If you do finish it early, it is 10 extra points. So make sure you try to stay on task and finish this before the bell rings. So get started on this, and if you have any questions, please come and ask me. Remember, first ask your group, so ask 3 before you ask me. I will be walking around sometimes, and I will be grading some papers while you're working on this. So make sure that you do your best. Good luck on this, and if you have any questions, don't forget to ask.